Wally, you have obviously built quite a following on social media, in particular on TikTok. And we all see what's happening now. And it looks like while perhaps the intention of Larry Ellison wasn't necessarily to take over TikTok and grow it into something in his mind that was going to be better, but basically to destroy it from the inside. I can't really see any other reason why he did what he did, but has any of your work been personally affected as a result of the Zio takeover of TikTok, as well as some of these other social media channels that now seem to be getting infiltrated as we go forward?
Yeah, definitely. Well, luckily, I kind of expected that this was going to be happening. So I think I really started my YouTube channel about 3 months ago in anticipation of the fact that we were going to see decrease in views, total censorship. So, and everything, it's honestly, it's happening exactly as expected. It's really unfortunate. I think when we saw the takeover of CBS News and how they really just changed it completely to just be a very pro-Israel propagandist network, as if it wasn't already beforehand. But now the level of control is unlike anything I've seen before. There's a total takeover, not just of mainstream media, but of social media as well. And it seems like it's only backfiring. I mean, with CBS News, I don't know if you guys saw, but now they have the lowest ratings. I think their ratings are absolutely tanking. I think that these oligarchs, these billionaires, think that the more they can control, they can eventually change society and make them love Israel again. I think they're in for a rude awakening, because the more they do this, I think it's actually fomenting more anger and more hatred. I think it's only backfiring. So I guess we'll just see how things unfold moving forward, honestly.
Ken, when you were growing up in the 60s and after what happened with Kennedy, was there, especially up until the Garrison trial that started in 68 into 69, was there a considerable amount of censorship that went on, especially with the Zapruder film that they were able to keep protected for so many years, as well as what did come out, if you even want to call it that? But we all knew that the Warren Commission was a phony. What was it like in those days compared to what you're seeing now?
Well, I was only 3 years old in the 1960s when Kennedy got shot, but I can't address this. There was a time when you would see, and I can remember, I guess I was a kid still, maybe in the early 70s, maybe in the mid 70s, you could see specials on the Kennedy assassination on network TV, and they were questioning. And somehow they managed to shut that down entirely. I mean, you would never see that now. The other thing you used to see on TV a lot was critiques of the pharmaceutical industry, like really in-depth, hard-hitting, hour-long documentaries about what criminals and scumbags they are. You never see that anymore either. So I think with Reagan, I think in the 80s, the switch really got flipped. And it became all corporate all the time with no space whatsoever. And it just got worse. And then Clinton made it worse, and then it got just worse and worse and worse. But there used to be some daylight in the mainstream media. Not a lot, but it would happen occasionally.
Well, you have to thank me for passing the Telecom Act in 1996. That was exactly what changed everything. But with that being said, there was a great movie that came out when you were a kid called Executive Action, which came out in 1973. And if anybody has not seen that Burt Lancaster film, I mean, I'm still flabbergasted. It basically is exactly as they said it went down, in accordance with Madeline Brown, LBJ's mistress, that this big meeting happened in Dallas the day before the assassination. And that's essentially what the movie was about. And I'm thinking, wow, they really went there. And you never knew about the film. It's like it got forgotten about. So when I saw it, I was thinking, wow, they must have really went to task to try to prevent this from happening, from getting out there. And all I'm thinking is they're preventing it because there's a lot of truth to it. There's no other.
They can bury stuff quite easily.
Yeah, JFK, the only president to not lick the wall. And so I bring this up because, as I'm sure both of you have seen, and now everybody in the audience is going to see, Mr. Presser, a nice little Jewish boy, as I like to say, is now in charge of TikTok. He is the CEO, and this is from, I surmise, some type of event, tech event, that just took place in Tel Aviv over the weekend.
change to designate the use of the term Zionist as a proxy for a protected attribute as hate speech. So if somebody were to use Zionist, of course you can use it in the sense of you're a proud Zionist, but if you're using it in the context of degrading somebody, calling somebody a Zionist as a dirty name, then that gets designated as hate speech.
And how exactly, wait, who's the arbiter of context? See, that's what I want to know. Who gets to be the arbiter of the nuance of every situation as to what somebody intends by the term?
They're so crazy.
Oh,
They're batshit crazy.
Wally, I think you've used the term Zionist a time or two.
Yeah, you know, it's dude, it's truly the level of control and censorship. I don't think they realize, like, they're only hurting themselves. They're only shooting themselves in the foot, because every single stereotype that they want to stop from perpetuating, they're doing it. So I don't realize how they're not recognizing, oh, the more we do this, the more we actually solidify the stereotypes that we want, I think they want to stop spreading. It makes no sense to me. The stereotype that Jewish people control the media, the best way to shut that down is by not doing things like this and then outwardly bragging about it too. That's the thing. They brag about it and boast about it while everybody's watching, and they do it with so brazenly. I don't recognize how, there's that disconnect there.
I also don't understand how they think this is helping them, Jen. How is this helping?
it isn't. They're desperate, but I don't think anything that groups like the ADL or what was that other one, Leora Rez's group, that these
Stop anti-Semitism.
Yeah, whatever these groups are, their sole existence is to maintain the status quo of Zionism, and where that's what they have nothing to do with anti-Semitism. And that's what, and they're trying to conflate it and make it be like it's hateful. But again, that brings me back to, as a first free speech absolutist, I don't care if it's hateful. I don't care if somebody wants to walk around saying hateful things about Jews. I'm not going to hang out with that person. I'm not going to probably want to be friends with them, but they could say whatever they want. People could say hateful shit all day long, every day. This whole thing bothers me. So.
And they do. I mean, they say it about all kinds of groups. I mean, and nobody seems to complain. You know, I have what I think might be a unique take on this, and I wonder your impression. I think these Zionists are occupying a space similar to Christian TV evangelists. They don't care how crazy their stuff is, because they're grifters, and their grift is to keep a particular group of people on the hook and keep pulling money in from them. So, you know, if you're following what I'm saying, like if a sane person watches one of these televangelists, you think, who would go for this? Well, there's a percentage of people that go for it, and that's who their audience is. And I think for people like this, their audience are the deluded, Zionist, Israel uber alles people that just take out the checkbook and write another check.
I also think that the one element that is also being ignored here is that this is almost predominantly, if not exclusively, based on class. It's based on class from the standpoint of the people that are sitting on this stage. It's based on class from the standpoint of the people that Wally and I interact with on the regular, that are getting paid to promote pro-Israel messaging. And in many cases, they're paid a lot of money to do it. So the lack of morality, if you want to talk about true lack of morality, you're looking at it from two places. You're looking at it from these douchebags on the stage, and you're looking at it from the people who are the so-called independent media sphere that are really just in it for the money and nothing more. And that's the sin.
To be moderated against. Over the course of 2024, we tripled the amount of accounts that we were banning for hateful activity. We also have, I think, over 24 Jewish organizations that are constantly feeding us intelligence and information when they spot violative trends. There is no finish line. There's no finish line to moderating hate speech, identifying hateful trends, trying to keep the platform safe. There's no such thing as an end game.
Yes, because what you're talking about is mind control, and it's horrifying. I don't care if people want to be hateful. That's their problem. The idea that people think they can mind police and is insanity to me.
Well, I also think the reason they say there's no end game is because that would end the grift. Because somebody's collecting millions and millions of dollars from deluded people and they're parceling it out. But believe me, they're keeping a whole bunch of it for themselves. And that's how I look at Israel. Besides being a demonic, murderous place, it's just the land of grifters. They steal land from people in the West Bank, and then they sell it, at synagogues and temples in Toronto and northern New Jersey. And I mean, it's just one grift after another.
Yeah, it really is. I made the click recently. Israel really is a billionaire project. The state of Israel is lifted by the billionaire elite class. And they really are the only class left that's propping it up. The mega group, it was Jeffrey Epstein's billionaire backer, Les Wexner. He created the mega group back in the 90s. And one of the main things they were concerned about was Jewish intermarriage rate and the demographic problem in Israel. And because of the demographic problem, they started Birthright for Israel, where Jewish people around the world get a free trip. That was directly created by Charles C. Graham. It's all a billionaire project, just so that way they can keep bringing an influx of settlers. Every aspect of Israel was created by the billionaire elite class, and they're losing control. So now they're trying to regain that control.
Bro, do you know about Jewish summer camp? Like, that's like another thing that they do. Because especially when they're
first of all, the way you say that is weird, just because there's tons of Christian camps, right?
Oh, sure.
When you say Jewish camp, there are a lot. I mean, there are a lot of other religion camps. You say it like it's special that Jews have camps.
No, well, what I'm saying is that you have like these Jewish camps, especially like in upstate New York, where the whole idea is to kind of get people together and try to get them to fall in love and make sure the tradition continues and all that. So, yeah, I mean, that is a thing. Like that.
Well, yeah, Miriam Adelson in 2018, she was giving a speech in Jerusalem at one of these conferences for Birthright, and she said, "Now go back to your hotel rooms and make a lot of Jewish babies and have them stand up for Israel." And then they also, when they go on Birthright, they pair them up with attractive IDF officers that are around the same exact age as the people that are coming to visit, because they want to basically get them to date and have more immigrants. The whole thing is based on how many settlers can we bring to Israel to expand and keep up the predominantly Jewish, majority. That's kind of the whole shtick of Israel. And
protecting pedophiles. They seem to really be good at that too.
Well, speaking of a alternative, because that's one of the key topics of the live stream this evening, there is an alternative to TikTok. There is a way to get away from this. And Jen, please, don't do that. Not while I'm doing this. We have an alternative. It's called Upscroll. And here is the founder of Upscroll. And here's a little caveat about him that you're going to love. Here we go.
Other platforms keep censoring, silencing, and shadow banning voices. So I decided to build an alternative. Maybe you are one of those voices, or maybe you want to see those voices get the reach they deserve. No matter what, every person deserves freedom and safety from the Orwellian tyranny of big tech. My name is Isam Hijazi. I'm a Palestinian.
All the more reason to support these efforts.
Yep.
And the beautiful thing about this is not a publicly traded company. Now, of course, that could change. I mean, obviously it could change. But just the fact that the alternative to Ziotalk is this, which is created by a Palestinian whose entire message is free speech, period. I mean, how much better can it get than that? Which is why, as I'm sure all of you have observed today in particular, Upscroll is trending in a big way. And what has been several 100,000 subscribers is now going to be several million by tomorrow. And it's going to keep growing. And apparently the site even crashed today. They're like, look, we're a startup, we'll get there. But hey, this is everybody, and I mean everybody, get over there and leave TikTok if you can. Because that's what we're going to be doing on our channel. Wally, I'm guessing you're already trying to grow a following on Upscroll as well?
I made an account today, so we're just starting off. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'll be on there.
Here's hoping for the best.
It sounds like a very fast growth rate. That's very promising because you need that. You have to have that kind of growth if you're going to get traction.
I agree, and it's definitely on its way.
Wow.
Canadian Australian, and I'm the founder of Upscroll. In mid-2024, I walked away from a successful corporate career in IT to found Upscroll. And since then, I've devoted every waking hour to making this platform the very best it can be. Upscrolled is here to challenge the status quo and spark positive change. It's a new social media platform like Instagram or X, but without the shadow banning. What you see is simply what the accounts you follow post, and your followers see everything you share, all in chronological order. And on top of that, we use a fair ranking algorithm for discovery of content. On Upscroll, you'll enjoy the freedom to express your thoughts, share church moments, and connect with your fellow human beings. It's a space for everyone. So whether you are a travel blogger, artist, musician, activist, or serial cat video poster, everyone is invited to be their authentic and unfiltered creative self. For too long, our feeds have been manipulated by algorithms that prioritize cashed-up influencers, celebrities, and brain rot. These apps have deliberately wasted our time, taken our money, and distracted us from the truth about the world we live in. They've been complicit in injustice and suffering of people, while a genocide streamlined our phones. And that's when I knew the world urgently needed a platform that doesn't hide the truth. Big Tech told us to doubt our own eyes. Tens of thousands have already joined Upscroll, but our vision is to reach millions and become the go-to platform.
Let's do that. Let's make that be, that we can make that be so.
And for those that are in it for the right reasons, like the four of us, our audience, and several other creators that are out there, that this is a task that we can take on and we can make things happen with. Handful of these things go viral, and the more and more people will end up doing exactly as Travis says.
I would love to make TikTok worthless for Larry Ellison. Like, nothing would please me more than to leave him standing there like with his dick in his hand and nothing else. You know what I mean? I said when he bought it, everyone should leave.
Yeah, well, now you have an option to leave. That's what this comes down to more than anything else. You now have an off-ramp. People like TikTok for what it was for, what it was used for. And you know, the irony, gentlemen, in all of this was that we were told it was big, evil, red China that is the reason why we needed to get away from TikTok. Boy, oh boy, I bet you everyone is clamoring for good old commie China to have it back in their hands. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'd be more than happy to just hand my data over to the CCP instead of Larry Ellison have it. But that's kind of where we're at now, I guess. So,
has anybody seen the documentary about Larry Ellison's agricultural adventures in Hawaii?
No.
Check it out. He had this lunatic notion that he was going to grow all the world's food on a single island in Hawaii that he bought. And he was going to grow, and it didn't work, obviously. And then he pivoted to trying to grow square watermelons. And then that didn't work. And then the whole thing just imploded. And you watch this and you realize this guy's a freaking idiot. He just happens to have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that we've learned since, I would say 1984, in more ways than one, is that the real key to becoming rich, and I mean mega rich, is to figure out a way to cultivate the most amount of people to a commodity as possible. And it doesn't matter if the commodity has any value. It could be the most useless piece of shit in the world. But if you could get their data and if you could get their money, then that's all that matters. And that's ostensibly what happened. Who wants a square watermelon? A person who thinks that they can play God and make that determination.